Minister, why should the IRA decommission? Why should they decommission?
But there is one overwhelming central challenge that remains in Iraq: security. Former Saddam supporters, and increasingly terrorists from outside of Iraq linked to al-Qaeda, see this progress in Iraq and its potential and hate all that it represents. They are therefore killing as many innocent people as they can, trying to destroy oil and power supplies and create chaos so that the path to stability and democracy for Iraq is blocked. At the NATO summit, the Iraqi government requested NATO's help with the training of the new Iraqi security forces, and NATO agreed it. The crucial task is now to put in place the training, leadership and equipment to give Iraqi police, civil defence and armed forces the capability to take on the terrorists and to beat them. The determination of the new Iraqi government is inspirational, but the challenge, especially around Baghdad, is formidable. Nonetheless, I hope by the end of July, the Iraqi government and the multinational force will agree and publish plans to ensure over time that this capability exists. And I'm sure that will be particularly welcomed by the Right Honourable. The training, I suspect, will be done mainly in Iraq. It's possible for some to be done outside, but I think that the reality is we would want it done in Iraq. I hadn't heard this about the flags and emblems, but I'm sure the NATO soldiers will be there as obviously NATO soldiers. The electricity supply and oil, the only problem is the terrorism. And that's why the new Iraqi Prime Minister wants to train specialist units of either armed forces or civil defence people who can guard the electricity supply better. In the long term, of course, we are now letting the contracts to build major new power supply and equipment in the whole of Iraq, and those contracts will make obviously a huge difference to the people in Iraq. And I think there is still, at least in certain quarters, not the right for the East. The fact is, both in Iraq and Afghanistan, as I say, the problem is not complicated to describe. The problem is simple to describe. It's security. I mean, everything else in those two countries would move ahead at speed were the security situation better. That is precisely what NATO should be able to do. And I think there is still, at least in certain quarters, not the right willingness is perhaps putting it in the wrong way, but the right sense of urgency in meeting the challenge that we face. I mean, I think that listening to President Karzai and the new leaders in Iraq, I mean, it is truly inspirational. There are people dealing with problems we cannot even contemplate in countries like this, and they're dealing with them with a threat to their own personal safety literally every day, but they're dealing with them knowing that actually the vast majority of their people are on side with them. And we should step up to the mark and help them. Now, this summit marks a move forward, but there's more, I think, still to do.
Speak. Yeah. Order.